Yeah, hi. This is a this is a beachfront restaurant called Doyle's at the Beach. It's in Sydney. It's not far from a nudist beach, actually. Very expensive. Looks ordinary. Looks like ordinary, but it's right on the beachfront. Okay, so it's a seafood restaurant. It's absolutely gorgeous. You know, the restaurants there are gorgeous. It's out in the eastern suburbs. So if you're ever in Sydney, that's the sort of place you go to. Very expensive, but it's yeah, it's just really nice out there. And I put it up for AB this morning. I responded to one of her comments, and I thought, because I always said I'd take her to a nude beach or a nudist beach if she ever came here. I think she'd enjoy it. I reckon the guys would anyway. Yeah, she's got eyes for guys. Yeah. Anyway, this video is going to be a bit longer, all right? This is not. I'm not going to try and reduce the time on this one. It's in response to a comment or a question actually that Kurt22 posed to me this morning. That's not crazy Kurt the Kraut from Pal Talk. It's Kurt22 from Texas, and it was interesting. It was about pickup artists, and he seems to be on the same theme the whole time. That like there seems to be some sort of division. And I don't know the mgtow scene, okay? So there seems from reading into it, there seems to be this division between pickup artists and mgtow. There's a division, and where there's a division, that means we're losing strength. All right, so that's what I want to try and address. Okay, the interesting thing was I was going to do a video on what happened last night with AB. And it was funny. For some reason, every time I talk to the woman, I end up pimping for her. or doing some sort of scam or something. I don't get anything out of it. It's just I like to help her. She's always been really supportive to me, so I like to return the favour any which way I can. It's always stressful, okay? It's never easy. It was never, it's what do I do? And I'm just sitting here relaxing. I had a busy day, not a good day, and I just felt like chatting. Yep, and it just started up out of the blue. So, but I had planned to do a video on that because what transpired was rather funny. Well, the preparations for her, what she was going to do was rather funny. But then this question came up, and I thought, no, actually, it's a bit more absorbing. But not only that, it happened. It was a strange sequence of events this morning. The first thing I got was a message on Pal Talk from a good friend of mine, Bri, who's PUA. Okay, and I've known Bri for years. A really funny, a witty sort of guy, and we have a great time. But he was talking about PUA again and that sort of thing, explaining that, and I thought, yeah, fair enough, okay. And then your question came. I read your question, and I thought, okay, and I read your question a couple of times actually to try and understand what to look into it a little bit more. And then the third thing that happened was there was an argument across the road. I heard this, you hear an argument, a savage one, fuck off, fucking, a couple at one another. Which, if it's just the couple, I couldn't give a fuck, okay? Really, I was just thinking, yeah, okay, they're having a fight. But there's a charming little boy there. It's their child or whatever. Oh, I don't know how old he'd be, 5 or 6 maybe. He's really charming, sweet, that sort of thing. And I imagined him sitting in the middle of this as this fight was happening. I just thought, oh God, because it reminds me of my own children. It just makes and I'll get more on this later, but this was a part of, and this all came together to help me frame up a response to your statements and your questions and your thoughts. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I thought I'd start by saying, and this is what I know mainly from Bri. And also, to be honest, I've watched quite a few, not a lot, but a few vids on PUA. Okay, and they're typically in shopping centres or out in the streets or something. I find them quite amusing, and the guys are just sharp. They've got an answer for everything. They're just, they're just really, they're really, and the women seem to enjoy it. Okay. And I'm taking it from your comments that you enjoy it. You enjoy the act and I think Brian's in the same boat where, it's to persuade somebody to talk to him. It's using your charms or your, whatever it is. I mean, the only criticism I have of Brian is his repertoire is a bit limited. It's down to two. It's usually either I'll drool, when I see you, I drool like a baby, or you're as hot as an oven. That's it. Two, one, two, and then they go, and he'll use them over and over and over again. And I just think, but I've watched others. Really, some of them are just they're just magic. They just put together this thing. And women, I mean, some walk away, but they really can't resist it because these guys are coming full on, super salesmen. And I don't take offence at it personally. I find it rather entertaining, but I've never given it any great deal of thought until today. And from what you seem to be saying, and I'm only guessing here because I don't know, I don't have the emotions, but I'm just guessing that mgtow, and particularly the more hurt ones, see PUA or pickup artistry as a betrayal. And I'm guessing they see it as, like fuck women. They get everything they want handed to them on a platter, and you've got to go and flatter them and bend over backwards and kiss ass and do all that. That's how I think they're seeing it. It's like, like fuck you. I think this is how they would, we're being hammered, we can't see our kids, we've lost our houses, everything, our life's in arrears, and you're chasing after them, and you call yourself mgtow. And I think that's what they're looking at, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say that's how they're seeing it. But I thought about it, and I've often thought this with Brian particularly. I mean, if you really, perhaps they could look at it a slightly different way. And instead of seeing you as I don't think you're doing it for any ulterior motive other than it's a challenge, or it's just you see that as what a man does with a woman. Which look, I'm not going to go there at the moment. I'm not, or later for that matter. But that's how you see it, right? But they see it the other way. But if you wanted to talk to them, you can say, look, you can see it as me selling them an illusion, like a mirage. Like, they're in a desert, and here's this pond of water I'm putting right in front of you. Come and drink it. Come on, take it away. Because that's exactly what PUA do. They come across as the most charming, witty, to a woman it's like, Mr. Right has finally walked into my life. He's perfect. He does everything's right. It says all the right things to me. Generous. Couldn't be better. Yeah, and then he's talking to the next girl over there. So it's almost like and I don't, you've admitted yourself, you don't want a companion. You don't want a relationship. You don't want marriage. You're saying it. And women are just saying, well, this is what we want. We want marriage. We want it all. We want, we want the dream. We want the illusion. But we don't even want the illusion. We want it to be real. So if anything, who are these simps? Are they you call them? And whoever these other guys are, the mgtow, really should look at you and pat you on the back and say, well done, because you're really hitting back. And you're really hitting and hurting, because you like if a mgtow ignores them, a woman will think, well, okay, I don't want him anyway. He's nothing to me. It's like having someone saying, well, here's a plate full of wheat, and you're coming along and saying, oh, I've baked it into a cake. It's got icing, cherries on top of the whole thing. There you go, took it away, la 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 la. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you're not seeing it as that, but mgtow could see it as that, because they're offering wheat, you're offering cake, but taking it away. They're offering wheat and say, eat it, bitch, if you want to. Okay. And that's where we're getting to. That's basically, try and remember this is early phases of mgtow. This is the guys sorting ourselves out, okay? Right now we're divided and fragmented and fractured all over the place. Now, take any army you like, And if it's divided and fractured, a small army will kill it. All right, you just don't need to be too. They're demoralised, they're fractured, they're divided. There's no leadership. There's nothing. There's no sort of coming together. They will lose. I guarantee you. It doesn't matter what weapons they think they've got. They will lose, and that's us. All right, that's us as guys. And by the same token, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong or what Briar's doing is wrong. And good luck to you. And it's just, I look at Brian. I tell the women, I was actually telling, what was her name? Pretty me, Millie, the other day. I said, yeah, Brian will cheat on you. Oh, I chop his balls off. Oh, well, you just have to figure out how to get around that one, Millie, because that's what's going to happen. You'll get married and the whole thing. I mean, because she's after her husband, right? I said, yeah, 2 weeks later, he'll be on the computer chatting to someone in the Philippines again. Sorry, that's just how it is. He'll cheat on you. He's a pickup artist. Just in case you don't realise. Oh, so she deleted me shortly after that. She didn't want to hear it. But that's the truth. He's not there for loyalty. He thinks he would be. And look, Brian's a lovely guy, top guy. But he's a pickup artist. Yeah, gotcha. Next, yeah, gotcha. So for the mgtow that are upset about it, maybe you should explain to them, look, if you really want to, we're really hurting women a lot of the time, and I'm sure you don't even intend to, but they want marriage, security, law. They want what they had in 1950 and weren't happy with it. Okay, and so now it's all changed, and as I said yesterday, we've morphed into something else that women don't want, and I can't blame them. But then again, they started it. All right, we were what we were, and they changed us. And well, I'm sorry, what's happened has happened. And I think mgtow, and I'll get to this in the next part of what I want to say. But I also say to you that in your comment, you said these guys were cowardly. Kurt, I don't think it's a matter of cowardice. I think it's a matter of, and when it all boils down to it, I think this is the real reason for mgtow in the end. I mean, mgtow, it can be anything you want. It doesn't have to. I hear about it has to be this. You have to do that. No, that's society. That's what mgtow has actually walked out of, society. But so we're living in the wilderness, and in the wilderness, your wilderness and my wilderness, it can be anything you want, so long as we don't kill one another in the wilderness. It's really, if you want to go and be a pickup artist, then go and be it. If that helps you through it and keeps you a little bit happy, then go do that. We're in the wilderness, but the whole point with these guys, you were saying that it's cowardly. Kurt, I'll bring in this fight that I saw this morning in a moment, but they're frustrated. They're fucked over. Men are totally fucked, okay, in the important things. We're not talking about the pickup scene or anything. That's not important. That's just a bit of fun. But they're not cowardly. They're just, what else do we, they don't know what to do or where to go. And all they can do at the moment is just hit out at people. All right? And the fact of the matter is, you guys, you pickup artists, are probably a bit of a leading light, a bit of a shining light. You've got an idea there because you're manipulating women. And I'll take that a step further later, okay? But just keep that in mind, that you've got an intelligent approach to it. You think about your approach. You think about what you're doing, whereas most of us stumble into marriage, usually in our early 20s, and we get fucked over, okay? We've got no idea what's coming, and we just get steamroller. But let me tell you about the fight and what I thought of this morning. I heard this fight, and it's an adorable little child, a little boy, and I watched him playing with his father outside, and it's just gorgeous. And I think, oh, it's so sweet at that age, isn't it? And I could just imagine him sitting there just all upset because mummy and daddy are fighting, as all children do, actually. And there were a couple of things that came to mind. My friend Bry, the pickup artist, says, yeah, his philosophy is women they either want money and or a fight. So if they've got money, they'll go for a fight. And I sort of tested it, and it holds pretty true. I say my friend Boomba is about one of the few people that don't fit into that. AB wants money. She's unapologetic about it, but never goes for a fight. Boomba wants neither. So, but and I was thinking about that this morning when I heard this couple going off at one another, and I thought, that poor bastard, that poor guy, he's saying all these sort of things, all these tough sort of things. I thought, he hasn't got a chance in hell. It's him up against, not her, okay? He's up against a whole army of social servants, the whole of society, the court system, the whole police force. He hasn't got a hope in hell of winning any argument whatsoever. So he's at the point where he has to just sit there and suck it up. And this is probably what all your mgtow friends are saying to you. Fuck it. How do you... and you chase after them. You make them feel like, heroes. And we haven't got a chance against them. We've just got nothing that we can do. They can say, do whatever they please, and, if they don't like it, they'll run along to the police and say, oh, he was violent to me. And what have you got, what's the guy got to say? He's fucked. And the thing is, he has a child there, and at the bottom of it, he knows if he gets booted, and if he doesn't know yet, he'll soon find out. He's only a young guy, but he'll soon find out. He probably won't even get to see the boy. All right? So that's what men are looking at. And that's what I looked at this morning. I thought, yeah, it's all very good. Let's start a fight and have some fun. Yeah, but then it gets into that, and enough of that, and then, oh, no, I've had enough of you, I'm going, or, you're no fun anymore. And as he's sitting there just thinking, I just want to have a normal relationship. And she said, oh, fuck you. And then he misses and loses everything. And this is what it's kind of, I don't know, this is how I see mgtow. I don't see it as anti-women. I see it as anti-system. Okay? I see it as it's men, and we have to come together and find a new way. Now, see, the thing is that they're not going to repeal any of this legislation. They never do, unless the whole system falls to pieces, which is unlikely. They won't repeal any of that legislation. So everything is, and there's more and more laws being written every day, just millions of them, to the point that will suffocate them. Eventually societies collapse from over-regulation, apparently. And I can understand why, because you just can't do anything. You can't move without breaking the law. So I think what's happened, a lot of us have moved back to the wilderness. We've walked out of this framework and we've moved to the wilderness where there's no law. And probably what these guys are trying to say is, yeah, the law is this for that, but there's no law in the wilderness. Okay. But the whole point is, they can't repeal the legislation or all the regulations, and there's going to be more of them. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to suicide the whole race? Are we going to just go on strike, perpetual strike? Or are we going to try to go our own way and do things our way? Because we've been given no choice. And this is why I say mgtow could probably look at the PUA, pickup artists, and think, hey, I think they might have something there. Because they're actually thinking about what they're doing, and they've got strategies and ideas how to achieve things. And I think go in an army. That's how armies work, don't they? They don't just sort of all go, "Yeah, let's kill them." You know, they have people that sort of organise things, and they have, you know, plans and, you know, tactics. And I don't know. I was never a military person, so, but I'm assuming that's what happens. And I guarantee it's what happens. Very, very organised. Very, yeah, we do this, we do that, we do that. Us guys, yeah, we're out in the wilderness. Let's get the rocks and the sticks and let's go into town, man. As they've got their machine guns, bazookas, rocket launchers, the whole thing, and we just get mowed down. So maybe our PUA it could be introducing the idea of strategy into the general man's. I'm not going to call it a movement anymore. I'll call it an army, an army of men, and maybe there's some, you know, we can learn from one another. I told you about, I had this relationship with Flor for 2 weeks, and in it, she tried to start a fight, and I just sat there. I don't know what happened, but normally, you know, I take the bait, and she tried something. I just sat there. No, I don't know why. I just didn't react. I couldn't give a shit. And she kept at it, and she tried again, and then she said something. Oh, I can't remember what it was, but she was obviously trying to start a fight, and it just straight over my head. Didn't give a shit. In the end, she sat there, and the next thing was I saw the tongue come out. I thought it was funny. I didn't laugh at the time, but I laughed later. It was just like, because I wouldn't react. I wouldn't give her what she wanted. And when you told, you know, when I started thinking about this with the PUA and all the strategies and tactics, I mean, I really can't remember what I did, how I avoided the fight. But the point is, if that kid across the road had the weapon, if he was a weaponised kid, you know, bloke, guy, whatever you like to call him, and he knew how to handle her and avoid the fight, she's fucked. She can't have the fight. All right? And he wins because he stopped the fight. And she's frustrated. Let her be frustrated. But what's happening at the moment is, yeah, he's falling for the bait. You know, she started a fight and he fell into the trap. Yep. And she clobbered him. And if he crawls up out of it, you know, out of the hole, out of yeah, she'll get the cops, she'll get social services, she'll get everybody against him, and she'll win in the end. But if he doesn't let her have the fight in the first place, then she's fucked. Okay? Which is better for him, and I'm going to say it's better for society. You know, because then, you know, mum and dad were together, and men will actually say, and I'm not a chauvinist, I'm not a misogynist or whatever, but men will actually say, no, we're not having any of these fucking dead shit fights anymore and ruining lives because, you know, you thought it would be funny, a bit of fun, let's have a bit of fun, and maybe we can have make-up sex afterwards, you know, as we destroy everything. And, you know, so maybe men can band together and take an intelligent approach and learn off one another. How'd you get out of the fight? Oh, she said this and said that. And I went, oh, okay. Well, she did this and she did that. You know, but guys could actually come on and say, yeah, one of them tried to get me into a fight the other day and this is what I did. And, you know, and we could end up, you know, having vids like they have for pickup artists. And I think that'd be useful because I think men could go, yeah, okay, that'd be handy. How do you avoid a fight? I mean, there are all sorts of vids on YouTube, but it's something that we could just talk about between us. As I said, you know, I got out. It's the first time in my life I think I've ever avoided a fight with a woman. I don't even know how I did it, but I just know I did it. You know, so the mould was broken, but I wasn't going to fall into that little trap. And I could see it happening, and I knew what was happening because it's one of those things that does it exist or doesn't it? Is it just a figment of my imagination, or is this something that other guys have? It's one of those. But I'm telling you, yeah, that's real. They cause fights. Yeah, they start them. Yeah, and that's. I think Brian's right. Yeah, they either want money and or a fight. And if you cut the fight, let's see what else they want. See what the next thing they want. See if we can, advance the plot a little bit. But right now, I'm going to be honest, guys are falling into that trap over and over again. So, yeah, as for being a pickup artist, yeah, you might see it as a challenge, bit of fun, way to meet women, way to, a bit of. I think that's the way Bryce says it's a good thing. Women could actually see it as a very negative thing. They could say, oh, look, you're just an illusion. You seem lovely, you seem perfect, and you're gone. As you're chatting to someone else. Your mgtow opponents who don't like you should actually honestly be congratulating you. Say good on you. Go and skew them. Make them feel shit because we lived in an illusion as well and realised it was a mirage. So yeah, go and do it. I mean, I'm sure you're not. As I said, I'm sure you're not seeing it that way. But I could easily argue that that's how the women would see it, and I could convince the other guys. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Actually, that's what you're doing. But on the broader picture, which is the one I'm interested in, I mean, I'm fucked. Like I'll be dead by the time the changes happen. But I'd like to leave something behind me, and maybe a bit of an idea where men can come together and have strategies on how to live and actually talk about real things, not just complain and bitch like women do. No, we can actually just talk man to man and just say, look, this is the situation. If there's anybody out there that watches this and don't believe that women start fights, please, feel free to comment. Tell me I'm an idiot. But I don't think you'll find many people will agree with you. I think you'll find that, yep, most will agree. Women, like a guy will be trying to have a good time, do something, and she'll turn it on. And yeah, we just fall for it every fucking time. Bang, and it's on. Just like I saw this morning, the poor little boy, because he loves his dad, and he'd be sitting there just going, "Oh, this is awful," like my own children would have done. I hated it. I didn't know how to stop her. I used to put charts up on the wall, and she'd go for a week. I just couldn't get her out of it. And maybe I should. Maybe I was focusing on her. Maybe I should have been focusing on myself, on what I do and how I react to it. But what training did I have? None. Did I ever talk to guys about it? No, too busy joking about something that doesn't fucking matter. But can you see what I'm driving at? Why don't we just talk honestly between ourselves and say, look, or among ourselves, sorry. I'm sort of confused as whether I'm talking to a general audience here or to Kurt. But why not actually just, this is how I deal with a fight. This is how I stop it. As I don't ever hear that conversation. All I hear is complaints about women. Women are bad, women do this, women do that. Yeah, who cares? What about us? What can we do to protect ourselves? Because the system's not going to change. They're not going to repeal the legislation. It's our sons, our grandsons, our great-grandsons are going to suffer if we don't make a stand and start thinking of ideas and doing it ourselves. It's just doing it, coming together and saying, no, this is how we deal with it. Right? Because we can't rely on society. And some of us, at least, will probably want to have relationships, even a friendly relationship, okay? And fuck the fights. They're just dead shit, stupid, useless fights. Waste of time. And it's guys like you, Kurt, who have a strategic mind, you think about how to do things. Why not think about how to stop fights? That would be, and you share it. Try it. Go out with women. So, and when they turn off, I just think of this conversation, think, okay, what would I do here? How would I handle this? And then I'll do a video. And I'll tell the guys, this is how I handled it. And guys would watch it and think, okay, I'll try that myself. And then they might do a video and say, yeah, well, I did this and did that. And guys start talking. I think, yeah, okay, how did we handle it? You won't win the fight. You never will, because if they lose, you're only hitting the first tranche. Because behind them, believe me, there's this huge army of people that are out to get you. out to destroy you, and you haven't got a hope in hell. The best you can do is stop it before it starts. And that's, and I say that, and I say the best you can do. I really don't even know. I'm not even certain about that. But at least it's something. At least you're weaponized. At least you're armed. You've got something. Okay, you might, for normal guys who don't want to pick up every woman they see, at least they can go into every situation. Right, she tried to get me, bang. I did this, I did that, I sidestepped, bang. And I didn't lose my dignity. It didn't come to me against her. No, I just handled it this way, that way, jumped back, and it was gone. Actually, Brian's rather good at it. I think I've known him for 4 or 5 years. We had one fight. We got over it pretty quick, smart. It was a stupid thing. But yeah, he does have the ability to avoid fights. He has the ability to pick up, he likes picking up women, but he also has that ability to avoid conflict. Mind you, he's divorced. He's been fucked over. He's not overly happy with his ex and the 4 children that he doesn't get to see, although he's starting to see them recently, which is great. But look, anyway, thanks for the question. And if you go onto these other sites, don't be antagonistic, and try and see and try and, well, you can do whatever you want, but I ask you not to be antagonistic, and try and see it from their point of view, and give them the concession. Say, yeah, I can understand what you mean. You see it as betrayal, and perhaps you could say to them, look, maybe you could see it as if you really don't like women that much, as me being rather nasty to women, because I'm selling them an illusion, just like you got sold, So maybe you could look at it that way. Not that you're intending that way, but I think hopefully, if we don't start coming together soon and start shoring up the ranks a bit, we will get totally destroyed. And if you ask me, it's not hard to come back from here. We just have to stop attacking one another. In fact, stop attacking women and start thinking. Let's just start thinking. We could probably start with a very simple point of, can our approach ever be aggressive anymore, given so it's a body of law and public opinion against us, or can it only ever be defensive? But in being defensive, perhaps we're being offensive. It's all sorts of questions, which I think would be a better approach, because what do you want to do? Attack one another, or do you want to win? Okay? And I don't mean to win, beat you. No, I mean win. And create a world that men can live in. And probably a better world, and advance, evolve into something new. Like if we can just learn how to avoid fights and arguments and sidestep them in a positive manner that doesn't belittle us and doesn't put us down in any way. If we can do that, if we can just do that one thing, that's a start. Because if they can't start their little fights and arguments, they've got nothing. That's the truth of it. There is absolutely nothing left for them, because that's it. All they have to do is, and you say one thing, do one thing, 3 burly policemen will you get your hands up against the wall, son. That's the power they've got. That's what's behind them. But if they can't get there, like if she calls the police and you're sitting there reading the paper, and they say, I believe you've been harassing this woman. Which woman? Your wife. No, she's going off about something. My hearing aid's not working. What'd you say again? And they're going to walk out and go say, and she's not going to. She said, no, see what I mean? No power. You've just taken it away from her. But you won't do it in offence. I don't believe you can do it in offence. You can only do it in defence. And that is learning to protect yourself. So in this case, defence is actually offence. Yeah, see? But thank you for your question, Kurt. And I get the feeling you're a strategic sort of guy. And I think Brian is too. He's a businessman. And I think it's us that can do that. Us businessmen, I'm a businessman too, and we love our strategy and that sort of thing, but we've got to get the other guys on board, okay? And we've got to try and explain to them that yeah, it's not necessarily a good thing for women, what we're doing. I don't do it myself, I'm sort of in Darren's camp. They just sort of, they just sort of come up to us. I don't know, maybe they just see something and it's like, yeah, like just think of a statue in the park and they are pigeons. Come and land on your shoulder, shit on it, they'll leave, fly off. Yeah, we're just sort of like, I'm more in the statue thing. Yeah, I just happen to be there, and and they're like pigeons that just come up and shit on my shoulder or on my head most of the time. Yeah, and then fly off. But thanks for the comment, and thanks for the question. And I have to be honest, I should be working today, but I got totally absorbed in the question. I thought, oh, fuck the work, I'm more interested in this. I'm really loving doing this. This is good fun. I'm enjoying it. And thanks, big shout out to Darren for getting me into it. It inspired me. I loved his style. It's just, and I hope, look, I hope I can offer you something, and you've got, a sort of a different way of thinking about it. Maybe put your own turn on it. And then when you go to these other sites, maybe you can be a bit more, maybe they might listen to you. Maybe you could sort of start getting them on board, and we can start linking together rather than the mgtow movement just fragments. It did it in 2014. It's already doing it again. There'll be a big thing like in 2013 there was domestic violence. By late 2014, mgtow was fragmenting, falling to pieces. This time it's sexual harassment. It's already starting to, everybody's fuck that. No. Time for guys to get together, form the army, and get out of our fucking way, okay? Talk to you soon. Bye.